Hello, I'm Shieldwall100 and welcome back to my channel for another Batman Miniatures game report. Today we've got some new miniatures on show, for both sides really, almost. We've got Harley Quinn's roller derby gang for the Birds of Prey taking on the three Jokers, which I've only used once before, so they count as new as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I really enjoyed using the three Jokers and I wanted to try them out again. Okay, right, so I mean, Harley Quinn has reasoned that the best way to stick one to your ex is to travel to an alternate universe where there's actually three of him and take them all down a peg or two, and that's the background for this little confrontation. Okay, I'm using the two objective card decks for each crew neat without mixing up any generic cards for them, because I want to see, well, the Joker crew actually works pretty well as it is as a deck. I think it does well on its own without having to change anything, but also the Birds of Prey crew, I'm actually interested to know how these new miniatures, these new, well, the new sidekick Harley Quinn and the new henchman actually gel with the existing cards, to see if they actually they use it, because Birds of Prey crews, because of the diversity of their crew miniatures, the deck never felt like it was really tailored for them, so I'm going to see if that's changed now, basically. Anyway, let's get on and see which models are in each crew. Well, as you can see, here is the new Birds of Prey crew that I'm using. Lots of new models here. Yes, it's more Gotham City Sirens than Birds of Prey, but Birds of Prey is how they're titled in BMG, so that's what we're going with. Just zoom in a little bit on the lady herself. Actually, a sidekick today, but this is the new Harley Quinn model, which I'm very taken with, to be perfectly honest. The actual crew leader is going to be Poison Ivy, of course, because she's the official leader model for this set. And yeah, so we've got her, one of her plants, the one with the ranged attack, and my favourite, Frank. Really wanted to include Frank because I really like him. Yeah, a few upgrades scattered throughout the plants as well, which we'll come to as they are used, if they are used. But otherwise, you can see the roller derby minions here. If I take the liberty to zoom in a touch, you can see some extra details. You know, that they're on there. I'm really, again, taken with these models too. Really quite enjoyed painting them, which was something of a surprise. I thought they were going to be quite tricky given the huge amount of bright colours, etc. But yeah, I was overall quite taken with them, and they painted up reasonably simply as well. Lots of shared colours between them, so there you go. But enough of that. So this is the crew that will be taking on the three Jokers, but let's see what the Clown Princes of Crime will be bringing to the table today. Yeah, and here they are. As you can see, the titular three Jokers in the middle there, the criminal, the clown, and the comedian, backed up by three of the henchmen from the Clown's Party box set, including Borgon the Cursed, the guy, Ace of Spades, I think he is Ace of Spades with the awesome gun, and Hobo Clown. I might be wrong with Ace of Spades there, he might be Rasta Clown instead, actually. No, I think he's Ace of Spades. Nonetheless, the two bloodthirsty Joker's paramilitary models with the my two favourites there. We're missing out on the rocket launcher guy because he's his little niche hasn't been carved out yet. There's not many armoured models in the game at this point in time, but maybe one day. And of course, the three what's the word? Joker's victims, keeping them in because they're cheap, expendable, and I quite like their models too. So there you are. Just adds the numbers into the crew again, because Joker benefits from having large numbers. Right, that's that. It's a fairly simple crew. Most of the work is probably going to be being done by the three Jokers themselves, with some help from the henchmen to score points is the plan, as always. Okay, well then, that's that. We're going to now move to actually setting up the game and getting on with things. So I'll see you back in just a moment. Okay, setup is done and we're ready to get into the meat of the action. But to say, I show you, I drew Showdown for the deployment zones, nice and basic for this one. I do like a nice basic one every now and again. And right, so let's start with the Birds of Prey deployment. We've got Harley Quinn, the sidekick, not the leader, in the middle of the board there in the park. We've got the henchman with the gas grenade launcher thing over there. The rest of the crew is more or less concentrated over here. Poison Ivy placed to inspire the three other rollerblading henchmen, and of course her plants are off the board, ready to be put out as the game progresses. inches. Right, moving over, we've got the Joker crew, and through some cunning, from winning first of all, luckiness on the deployment initiative roll, and also being one of the 3 Jokers having the manipulate rule, they were able to reposition some models to get some decent firing arcs for Rasta Clown here. It is Rasta Clown, I checked, sorry. And so it's been pretty good for them, I think, deployment, because this guy's got good field of fire. But as you can see, the 3 Joker victims are just spread out a bit, just because they're going to be playing interference anyway. But otherwise, the actual boss of the crew, the criminal Joker, is just here, and he's in nice inspire range of all of the henchmen, apart from Borgon, who can't do manipulate actions anyway because he's stupid. And the 3 Jokers are placed at various intervals along here. But that's basically it, really. We're now going to move on into activations. Going to get into the first round even, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, take the lead and raise the plan phases are both now done for the first round. Just a little bit of admin. We got the 2 suspect markers the birds of prey get to put out are there and there, because they get 2 because they have 2 plants to bring onto the board. Should have mentioned that earlier, didn't. Boopsie. The birds of prey got the initiative for this first round. No cards played in the first phase, but in the second phase the Joker crew played Psychopaths to get it out of the hand. We've seen this many times before, not going to dwell on it, but there's a text if you want to pause and read. Okay, we are now going to look at who got Audacity. Well, on the Joker side, no one has to declare they're getting Audacity, because everyone's either a henchman or has the Chaos Agent special rule. So there you go. And on the Birds of Prey side, Harley Quinn obviously has Audacity, Poison Ivy, and 2 of the roller derby crew here, the guy with the fire and the larger lady with the hook blade on the chain. Okay, and that's that. We are now going to move to moving around models in the execute the plan phase. Off we go. Well, they have a whole bunch of passes, but the Birds of Prey decided to move first anyway for some reasons. First of all, they activated this rather sporting-looking roller derby guy with the hockey stick. He had a couple of cards to play. First of all, as a resource, he played Pretty Birds, which, if you see there, gives another model stealth, and he gave it to Poison Ivy, who was looking rather out in the open when Rasta Clown, sorry's gun is very capable of doing damage, even at long range in the dark. So yeah, just didn't want to get some horrible early damage on Poison Ivy there. So yeah, he gave her stealth, so she can't be targeted more than 8 inches away, which is useful. Right, so he moved forward and put down I Work Best Alone. With his suspect marker there, he played I Work Best Alone, which is where he puts a numeric counter on this suspect and any other suspects he places during the course of the game, and until he scores it or dies. And if he roll dice at the end of the round, if it matches any of the numbers on the numeric counters on his suspect markers, you score the card. So it's there if he needs it or not. I'm just cycling the deck, to be perfectly honest. So, and why not this guy as opposed to anyone else? Okay, so that's the first first model of the game moved. We're going to go to the Joker. Went with Joker's Paramilitary 1 next, and because he was just around here and it looked easy. Right, he took one of the Audacity counters from the pool. He was still inspired by Joker as well, so he moved around the corner to attack the guy who just moved on the roller derby side. He popped down a suspect marker in order to let them in on the joke. Lovely jubbly, easy peasy lemon squeezy, and 2 points on the board for the Joker crew. Having done that though, I looked up the fast rule, which all of the roller derby models have, and it's been changed. It allows, once an action is resolved anywhere, I'm guessing, these models can move 2 inches. So I immediately took the opportunity to move this guy 2 inches out of base contact, because I was intending to attack him with the kukri wielding paramilitary guy, but this neatly affords him the ability not to be targeted, which is pretty good. I do like this roller derby crew. Is good. I mean, that's a great use of it, and unfortunately it actually kind of wastes the Joker's Joker's Audacity token as well. So that's a bit annoying, but yeah, nonetheless, 2 points scored for the Joker crew, and food for thought for me. So after any given action, has been resolved, models with the roller derby, in the roller derby crew with fast, will be able to move. That, I'm assuming that now affects everyone else as well, in terms of who's got the fast trait. There's some interesting thoughts going on in my head now for other crews and things, but never mind. We'll get back to the game in hand, and yeah, well, Joker has entered the scoreboard. Okay, we went with Harley Quinn's roller derby thug number 1 next. She jetted up here in base contact with the Joker's suspect marker, which she duly picked up with her inspiration based manipulate, and she then activated a 360-degree attack with her special action and used that to cause 1 hit on the kukri wielding bloodthirsty Joker's paramilitary here, and also to destroy this rather annoying lamppost which was threatening to illuminate the entire Birds of Prey crew there. Okay. Having picked up the suspect marker, there were now at least 3 more Birds of Prey suspect markers on the board than Joker ones, so it enabled them to play Tough Girls for 3 points and to get the scoring for the Birds of Prey crew going. Okay, so there we are. That concludes the activation for the Birds of Prey. What's followed for the Joker crew is a fairly mundane section of all the mindless monsters in the crew have gone, followed by passes from the Birds of Prey, because the Birds of Prey quite a few passes at the moment, and the Joker's using these the mindless monsters to run them down. That's the 3 Joker victims have all 1, 2, 3 all moved towards the Birds of Prey. Really, they can't do manipulate actions because they're stupid, so it's not worth giving them audacity anyway. So, and actually, Borgon the Cursed also has mindless monster now as well. His card's been updated quite a lot since I last used it, I think. So he also moved across to try and get towards somewhere he can actually do some good damage. Right, so that's him all done and done. Right, so we're going to go next to the Birds of Prey, because it is their turn to move and they're out of passes. Roller Derby Thug 2 activated next. He had audacity and was right at the back of the board, but yeah, he had a good go. First of all, he moved to around about here and then used his flamethrower to attack the beleaguered, bloodthirsty Joker's paramilitary guy and this mindless zombie here, and hit both of them with his. Despite having moved and shot, he did get the hit, and that means that sets them both on fire, which is pretty badass. And yeah, he then, because he did a hit, he used his motion ability to move over here, gets an extra 3 inches movement if he hits someone with his fire attack, and then using his inspiration-based manipulate action, he popped down a lovely suspect marker just there too. So there you go. No cards played, but can reveal that over here one of the suspect marker for the Birds of Prey has been picked up, and Frank the Plant has erupted from the ground and to cause mischief and mayhem over in here. Okay, that's that for the Birds of Prey. Go back to the Joker crew. Well, not messing about, Rasta Clown calmly drew his gun and, well, he had to shoot someone. It was in his way. And, well, so he picked out the best target he could, which was the guy who had just gone. This flamethrower is way too annoying. That fireball is going to be causing the mess for the Joker crew if it carries on surviving for more turns. So he shot him. And since that was the first activation, since the first action of Rasta Clown's activation, this guy couldn't use his fast ability to avoid the incoming shot. Took 2 hits, so despite the fact there was cover, the 2 hits were enough. 6 points of blood damage is more than enough to kill this chump here. So unfortunately he will not be joining us for the rest of his life. And that concludes that. No cards to score, oddly enough, for a Joker crew. You know, in their hand handily. They need to mix it up a little bit more at the moment, but that'll do. Killing opponents is always fun, as the Joker says. Harley Quinn activated next, and just something to recount beforehand, when this chap here, the flamethrower roller derby guy, was killed, it labelled the Birds of Prey to play Pretty Birds from the hand onto the tabletop, but you see the bit that's in bold: an enemy model inflicts at least 5 damage to a friendly model with a single attack. That's what just happened. That's its secondary condition. So as soon as they were able to do that, it's a Birds of Prey rule with this funky wing symbol here. It means means it changes the scoring conditions from the text above to the text below, so we'll come to that in just a moment. But basically it made this card, Pretty Birds, much easier to score. Okay, and they did so shortly, but I'll show you how. Harley Quinn activated. She was back here. First of all, for one resource, in position was played. For the resource, an active friendly model may perform an additional special action this activation. There you go. So she had two special actions. So first of all, she did her Harley Quinn show special rule to give the roller derby henchman up here, who was within 8 inches, the audacity counter of the roller derby thug down here, even though it had been spent, used to do activate, to do to do audacity and give multiple actions. She was able to pass it on to the lady up here, who now has a full complement of activations from now on. So that's pretty badass, if you ask me. That's a good use. In order to do that, she had to actually discard a card with the kind of the cog symbol in its thing there, and they did so. Poison Ivy's regrowth card, and so having done that, that was pretty good. And it's all cycling the deck as well of hard to score cards, so it really helps this Birds of Prey crew out there as well. Then Harley Quinn had the rest of her turn. She moved up to here. She used Goad, which is her second special action, to move this the Joker's paramilitary here into across the fence, moving 4 inches, so he hopped across the fence, and she then beat him unconscious with her stick. He put in maximum effort to defend, put 3 in, gambling that she might fluff the what's it called, the strength die roll, but it was not to be. She hit him with the strength die, which was enough to do that last 2 points of stun damage, took him out for the count. And of course, having done so, that enabled her to score Pretty Birds, which she just made a lot easier. So an enemy model suffers damage from an attack action by a friendly model it could not draw line of sight to at the beginning of its activation. He couldn't see her at the back of the park. She was well over the line of sight distance. So there you go. Boom ting. Yes, 2 points score for the Birds of Prey, a whole bunch of cards cycled through, and a bunch of extra actions for this lady when she gets the chance to go. What's not to like? Well, Hobo Clown was to be next, but I just forgot to mention that once Joker's paramilitary guy here went down, it enabled the Joker to play You're Expendable as a reaction. I do sometimes forget to mention the reactions as you go, because I've got so much else going on and I'm trying to do this solo, but there you go. As soon as he went down, they scored the 1 point, because there's the victory conditions there. It's just a nice little reaction you can do with the Joker crew just to annoy your opponent. Anyway, Hobo Clown remembered what the objective of the game is, and it's to score points. So what he did was he moved up. He doesn't have audacity, but he does have inspiration, so you can see pop down a suspect marker using it. And of course that was the time he played Let Them In on the Joke for 2 lovely points for the Joker's hand. It's such a nice easy score, this. I do like this one a lot. Right, that's that. Back to the Birds. Well, it's time for some Frankage, actually. I realised he was actually in range of hitting the Joker, because the plants have a larger control zone area than you'd actually expect. Anyway, he attacked the Joker put in maximum effort to defend, and Frank matched it. Caused 2 hits, including the strength die, after all, because he hit with every single attack, and Joker's defense roll was pretty bad. That caused him to be eaten. Haha, so he's off the board. And yes, 1 point of blood damage per hit, but there's another 2 points there. Where did that come from, Lee? I don't hear you asking. Well, the Birds of Prey played 1 resource to play Feed Me, Frank's special card, and it allowed it forced the Joker who was in there, Joker the comedian that is, to take an immediate slow digestion endurance roll, which he failed somehow, and took another 2 points of blood damage. So 4 points of blood damage and 3 points of stun on the Joker, and his inside Frank, and cannot really do much until he manages to get himself spat out. So that'll be a laugh, won't it? Right, we'll go back to the Joker crew now and see what they're going to do about that. Well, we went with the Joker comedian to get him out of there, and get him out of there we did. He passed his endurance roll, took a point of audacity for himself, and first used his special action I Am Chaos to force the Birds of Prey to discard a couple of cards of his choice, and then he used his crowbar to beat down Frank the Plant, took 2 points of stun damage, which is enough to take Frank off the board. He could come back though, so don't be too upset. Everyone's favourite character will be hopefully returning for the Birds of Prey. We'll see. And that's his activation. Yet again, it's putting more counters on the Psychopaths card, so don't forget it is useful for the Joker crew to be doing damage. Well, this Joker certainly has no qualms about hurting his ex, so he moved from here to here, took a point of audacity. Oh, sorry, the reason he's going again is because the Birds of Prey used one of their passes they just got back, because they've had a couple of models removed, so passes are coming their way as well. He moved up, he popped down a suspect marker, which he turned into a set of exploding teeth with the Bite the Dust card we've seen many times before. Wall of text, lovely. He rolled a 1 for the duration of how long it was going to be, and he then used his special action to interact with the explosive teeth, and he moved it 4 inches over here, and then it reduces the countdown by 1 down to 0, so it explodes. So we'll take it off straight away. Great stuff. It scores the card for 2 lovely points for the Joker crew, and then it does 1 point of blood damage to Harley Quinn and the knocked out paramilitary guy there as well. Who cares about him though? Alright, so 2 more points in the bag for the Joker. Well, lots going on, and lots of, Poison Ivy activated. She had audacity, and she was back here, over here. Okay, she used a manipulate action to go all the way through the sewer marker to get across the board into the midst of the Joker crew, which was sort of over here. Well, it was all around really, but right. First of all, she used her special action to activate her control pheromones to try and hypnotise a couple of the Joker crew, because she's taken the upgrade lets her try 2 enemy models. First of all, she managed to successfully hypnotise Rasta Clown, who opened fire upon his boss, Joker the Criminal, who's now over here for a while. I'll tell you in a moment. Hit twice, and he was it was with the accurate massive rifle of his, did 2 hits, so it was actually a very low roll. Should have killed Joker the Clown. Did 2 hits, doing 6 points of blood damage. He then got down off the car and moved over here, because you get 2 actions when you hypnotise someone. And then Poison Ivy used an effort to make it more powerful on the Joker the Criminal, and with a mighty roll of 11, Joker the Criminal failed his willpower roll, and then moved over here, and then opened. Well, no, he didn't move. First of all, he was over here. He opened fire back on Rasta Clown, hit him 3 times with his Tommy gun, and smeared him across the the back of this van. He was then moved all the way down here, so he'll be nicely in the midst whilst really damaged, so harder to get away from incoming attacks and stuff. So there you go, pretty brutal set of rules. And also that Tommy gun of his has the reload rule, which means Joker won't be able to use it for a whole turn. So that sucks for him. I'm getting flashbacks to playing with Two-Face against Poison Ivy and Hypnotise, where you lose all your gun attacks to the enemy using them for you. It's just annoying. But hey, yeah. So that was a pretty brutal turn. No cards played, interestingly. So I think the Birds might start lagging behind on points, but they can't deny the damage that they're doing. Anyway, we'll go back to the Joker now, and they've got 1 model left to activate, I think. Yes, it was Joker the Criminal to go, and he took a point of audacity, not that he really needed it, and that's the end of the Joker crew's turn when he's done. He didn't move actually, because he found that he was actually nicely poised within 8 inches of all of the necessary henchmen to inspire next turn if necessary, and so why not much point moving. He can't shoot his Tommy gun, and he wasn't really expecting his knife to do an awful lot to Poison Ivy. It'll just put him in mortal kiss range anyway, so why bother doing that? So he popped down a fish with his final thing. He calmly reached into his pocket in the middle of this fray and lay down a fish on the ground, playing It Doesn't Look Fresh from the hand for 2 points at the end of the turn if that marker's still in play, given the fact that the Birds only have 1 more model to activate this turn, and it's over here. Spoiler alert, that fish is probably going to be on the board, but hey, we'll see as and when the time comes. And that's that for the Joker crew. 1 model to go for turn 1. Yes, and it was Roller Derby Thug number 3 activating with the purloined audacity, if you recall. She used that to move up to this sewer marker, and the manipulate action therein to move over here. A card was played from the hand, The Nest. played in this phase but will score at the end. During the recount phase, there will need to be more friendly models than enemy models in the enemy deployment zones. So there you go, and I think she's just achieved it with some help from Poison Ivy's Hypnotize. But yeah, that's that. We're going to now move to the recount phase. She has nothing else she really wants to do. I could have moved some guys with fast, but I didn't really see the need. I did move this lady back a little bit to, for future turns and whatnot. I'm still getting the hang of this fast rule. At this point in time, I haven't really worked out if there's a need for her to move. I mean, she could actually just move 2 inches this way, since she just finished her activate. No, she can't move. You can't move after you use the sewer marker. Brains. So the fast rule will only work if for models that don't use sewer markers. I'll get caught on that. I don't want to get told off. Right, anyway, that's enough of that. We're going to go to the recount phase now, and we'll tidy up some scores. Recount phase complete, so all the activations are picked up. 1 point of stun damage has been removed. Sadly for the Joker, the paramilitary boy with Harley Quinn towering over him decided not to come round from unconsciousness. Clever boy. Right. Oh yeah, the 2 guys who are on fire are still on fire. They take 1 point of blood damage each and gain another fire counter, so they'll need to spend a bit more movement padding themselves out as and when the time comes. What next? Oh yes, who scored what? Well, it doesn't look fresh. Definitely scored for the Joker, because that counter's still there. Psychopaths, in an uncharacteristic turn 1 success, it scores because there's a lot of damage done to both sides, and not as many suspect markers placed by the Birds of Prey team, so 3 points there. For the Birds of Prey crew, the nest does score, as we just mentioned a little while ago, because they've got 1 model in the Joker's deployment zone, and the Joker currently has none. Thank you, Poison Ivy, for setting that up. And sure enough, I put down a 1, knowing that I'd probably roll a 1. Given any given dice roll, it'll probably be a 1 for me. And for I Work Best Alone, I duly rolled a 1. Funny that. So this scores quite a bit of stroke of luck there for the Birds of Prey to score those 2 points this early in the game. So there you go, 5 points apiece in the recount phase. I think the Joker's probably edging it in terms of overall scores, but the amount of damage which has been meted out to them by the birds so far in this turn, in this first turn, cannot be underestimated. 2 of the 3 Jokers are taking serious damage, and yeah, they've lost some useful scoring henchmen as well. But we're gonna get back in there. They've still got some mindless monsters on the board, so that'll be the damage portion of their turn, perhaps, whilst the rest of the crew can do some scores. We'll see how it goes, okay? And this Birds of Prey crew deck, as it's turning out, yes, I'm remembering how difficult it can be to score some of those cards now. So let's get into turn 2 and find out how this goes. Round 2, and we've done the first 2 phases. Take the lead and raise the plan. And take the lead, no cards played by either crew, but the Birds of Prey did win the initiative once again with a 5-4 on the die roll. In the second phase, the Joker's crew played Psychopaths once again. It scored for them last turn, so why not this turn when there's even more hoot-nannying going on with fisticuffs, etc. So yes, there's another potential 3 points for them there. For placement of Audacity, once again the Joker crew does not have to disclose who they're giving Audacity counters to. For the Birds of Prey, we've gone with this roller derby clown up here, who's way too far away to be inspired by anyone. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, of course, hogging the Audacity as well, and the remaining point Audacity is going on the roller derby Thug, the large one, the big one, the Thug 1-1. Okay, that's it for this next 2 rounds. We're going to get into it. Both crews mixing it up rather nicely in the middle of the board now, so expect some damage. Going with Roller Derby Thug 4 first, a bit uncharacteristic, but figured he had a bit of a time limit on what he could actually wanting to do, because it related to the placement of this Joker's Thug, who's currently on fire. So yeah, he was in inspire range of Poison Ivy back here. He moved up, placed a suspect marker because he was inspired, and enabling him to place Sisters in Arms for 2 victory points, at least 3 friendly suspects within 4 inches of the same enemy model. And yeah, they figured that there's a chance that this guy might move away quite quickly, so they popped this one down now to score the 2 lovely victory points. Okay, that concludes the Birds of Prey's first activation. We're going to go to the Joker crew and see what they get up to. Yes, Joker's paramilitary guy with the kukri went next. He had to, first of all, had to shake off the fire, so it cost him 4 inches of his movement. He moved into base contact with the hockey guy, who was hitherto over here. Just like last time, Hockey Guy used his fast ability upon the conclusion of the movement of the Joker model to move up a little bit just to get out of harm's way, but this was okay because I took the Joker's gas upgrade on this guy. He used a special action. Oh, so I forgot to say, he actually took a point of audacity from the Joker's pool. Yeah, he needed to, because he has to do a movement action, and he wanted to do Joker's gas as well, so he has to do a movement action because he's on fire. That's in the fire effect rules, okay? So yeah, before he can do anything else, he had to dust off the fire, and then he was allowed to move over and do the Joker's gas, which inflicted poison 1 and enervating 1 on both this model and this model here. So that's nice. That gets some poison in. Joker likes to interact with that poison, and because he's in contact with this suspect marker, he can use his well, there you go, that to do this. Sorry about that, pardon me, that to do this. He can reveal the enemy suspect marker by doing that. And by revealing the enemy suspect marker, he's actually allowed to play So Long It's Been a Gas as an objective card for 2 points. Lots of text, but the upshot is he scores the 2 points for revealing the suspect marker, and because it was on his crew's side, we have to choose a Joker model to get innovating 2, and we went with this zombie goo guy up here because no one really cares about him anyway. So lovely. Alright, that concludes his turn. 2 points in the bag for Joker, so the keeping level pegging so far this turn with the Birds of Prey. Okay, going with this roller derby thug with the improvised launcher next. Okay, she had a pretty good turn. Just a little bit of admin. I forgot to say that when the Joker's paramilitary revealed the suspect, it enabled tough girls to be laid down on the table by the Birds of Prey because the enemy will reveal a friendly suspect. So they've got the easiest scoring criteria from now on. But I digress. This roller derby thug was over here by this sewer marker, and she first of all, because it's a grenade launcher, she can choose pretty much anywhere in line of sight to launch the grenade, which she did, and she used her special action because she did have audacity to activate dispersion on her grenade launcher, and she used the gas grenade, and basically it enables her to attach the teardrop template to the normal grenade. So if I tell you the template resembles something like this, okay, it affects everyone who's touched by either template, and she was able to hit every Joker model, including the criminal down here with the gas. And yeah, because she was stationary, there was no movement penalty for, you know, like number of dice, so it's got the firearm rule, so she was using that, and yeah, she hit every single model successfully except for Borgon. So all these models take 1 point of stun damage and also enervating 2, which is going to affect their effort limit for the rest of the game until the Birds of Prey decide to cash it in, shall we say. So yeah, they've done quite a sizable bit of damage to the Joker's crew's capabilities for a little while. And having done that, she was able to play Pretty Birds from the hand, because she as well succeeded in that. 2 enemy models suffered damage from the same attack action by a friendly model who neither could draw line of sight to at the beginning of activation, and she was well far away from many of these models and out of sight. Having done that, she moved her distance over here just to get some cover behind the get some cover behind these pipes here, and you know, she's in the enemy deployment zone in case that Birds of Prey card comes up for needing to be there later on, just in case. Right, that's her activation. Back to Joker. Well, Joker the Clown could have had a better turn than he just did. Unfortunately, the last one was not happening for him. He was dying on stage. He moved from back here into here. He took the impaired movement for going over the railings and whatnot. He used his special action to target this poison fish, which was over here, to try and get it to move and poison perhaps everyone down this line. But unfortunately, he rolled 5, which not only moved it a little bit of a smidgen, but also wasn't sufficiently high to poison anyone anyone in this queue. It would have increased the poison value on the roller derby thugs, and if the Joker's thug here gets poisoned into the bargain, that might not be altogether bad either. If you see what I mean, if you played the Joker crew before or seen my games. Yeah, so didn't actually result in anything there. The fish did not move far enough. He then consoled himself by using his tactical action to attack with his razor sharp cards. This guy here, who'd already used his fast ability, couldn't use it again to get out of the way. He's got range of 3 because he's flinging them short distances. The innovating one reduced the effort limit that this guy could put in, so he only put 2 effort into defending himself, and the Joker maxed out, but overall only managed to do 1 hit with the strength die. That was very disappointing. So despite the fact he took 3 points of stun damage to put the effort in, he didn't. Incidentally, the Birds of Prey didn't use the innovating on him to reduce his attack pool at all. You know, he reduced his ability to put effort in. They just they let that sit on him for a bit, and yeah, well, that's. He only did 1 point of blood damage, and both sides are suffering stun. So not a brilliant turn there for Joker, and didn't manage to score any cards. Bit of a shame that. But anyway, back to the Birds of Prey. I keep forgetting how good Poison Ivy is in this game, and the capabilities she can have. She activated next. She was back here. She moved up onto here. Don't forget she had Audacity, so get a full complement of moves. She moved onto the top of this police car. She then used her first special action of her 2. Don't forget she gets 2 special actions every turn, instead of just the 1. She used her first one to hypnotise Borgon the Cursed, and for his part, he was over here. He activated and attacked Joker the Comedian. He put 3 effort in, of course, because why wouldn't Poison Ivy make him do so? Joker was suffering enervating, so couldn't put had no dice left because of the effort limit constraints he had from taking so much damage as well. Took 2 hits despite doing a valiant defensive effort. He turned around and was smashed by the axe and removed as a casualty. So that was horrific. For the second action that Poison Ivy could force Borgon to take, she moved him into contact with her. She then had a relatively easy time hypnotising this Joker thug up here, who revealed the suspect marker for funsies, and then walked up here. Okay, those damage markers belong to Joker, not him. So yeah, he just moved up there, so just to keep away and make sure the Joker crew keeps its suspect counter numbers low on the board. She then activated Mortal Kiss as her second of her 2 special actions, and used her last action, her tactical action, to attack Borgon. Borgon, being out of effort in defense, did once because he only had 1 point of willpower left. Poison Ivy, for her part, efforted a couple of times to make the attack a bit more likely to hit, and hit she did. It was very easy. It's only defense 2, so nice and easy one to get. He tried to defend, but she managed to get 3 hits in the end, and with the Mortal Kiss ability, if she scores 3 hits on something, it's instant death. So Borgon is off the board as well. That's horrible. And yeah, that's that for Poison Ivy's turn. But 2 enemy models dead, both very powerful ones on the Joker's side. Nothing to say about it coming back that way from the Joker crew. They had no cast to react with or anything, unfortunately for them, in their hand. So yeah, that was a devastating turn for them, but they still got 2 of the 3 Jokers on the board, so we'll see if they can get back anything. Joker the Criminal activated next, and trying to salvage something from the situation. He first of all took one of the Audacity counters and popped down a suspect marker, and promptly made it a pair of exploding teeth with Bite the Dust with a counter of 4. Okay, he then used his movement action to move through the gate and over here, so as to be better placed to inspire the rest of his crew as the turn progresses, because he is the leader, so he has to look to see where he can benefit his crew, and his crew is in dire need of manipulate actions right now. Okay, so there you go, that's his turn over and done with. Don't forget he can't shoot this turn because he's still reloading his Thompson, and he wanted to get as far away from being eaten by Frank and away from Poison Ivy and her her hypnotise action as possible. Oh yeah, sorry, by the way, I erupted Frank during Poison Ivy's turn. I think I forgot to mention that. He came up from the suspect marker that was just here. Okay, so that's where Frank is at the moment. He's come back to rejoin the fun. And having said that, Frank actually activated next for the Birds of Prey as well. So he didn't have Audacity, so just the one action, but he can reveal suspect markers within 4 inches of him, and the stinky fish over here was just within 4, so he did that. Doing so enabled him to score Tough Girls, because it's not currently on, it's easier to score, if you remember from earlier. So there's currently more suspect markers in play for the Birds of Prey. In fact, they've got 2 out to the Joker's 1, so there you go. And so that will score 3 amazingly useful points for the Birds of Prey, but not to be outdone, and because it's because they happen to have the right card in their hand by now. They had Joker Crew played so long it's been a gas in response, because when a enemy model reveals one of your suspect markers, that's it. You score the 2 points, and the Birds of Prey chose this chap here to get Enervating 2 as well, so not so good for them. But so the Joker Crew sort of mitigating the loss there through shenanigans from their own deck, as is their way. Yes, just because you're beating them to a pulp, the Joker Crew can still score those cards. While Joker's Crew's just running down the clock a little bit, just to see just to tease out more turns, and yes, this zombie guy just attacked Frank actually, because he was the nearest, so the mindless monster rule allowed him to move into contact and attack even without Audacity, and the strength die came up as a 6, so yes, Enervating for Frank. Frank can't suffer knockdown, so there's that, but nonetheless, Enervating at 1 point is stun damage for Frank, so not the complete waste as you might think it would be to do this attack here. We went with Harley Quinn next for the Birds of Prey. Right, at the end of the last activation, she used her fast ability to move into contact with the Joker here when the zombie Luke did his attack. I forgot to mention it. So yeah, she moved into contact. It enabled her to use her Harley Quinn show ability when she used her special activation on this lady. She played the Joker Ometer card. See, it's a little gun symbol there. That enabled this lady to attack, and she did, causing 2 points of stun on this chap. He used his hardened ability to convert the 1 point of blood he'd have taken, which would have killed him, into stun damage. So there you go. And yeah, what else happened? Oh yeah, so that was the first thing. That was her special action. She then bonked this Joker over the head and KO'd him with her bat. He still suffered Enervating 2, which really affected his ability to put effort in to defend himself, and so yeah, he took the damage. She then used her acrobatic ability and her roller skates, no doubt, to zoom over here and end the turn, having played the Nest as an objective card from her hand. So for 3 points at the end of the turn, there have to be more Birds of Prey models in the Joker Crew's deployment zone than Birds of Prey ones, but it's an ongoing thing, so we'll check it in the recount phase to see if it works out for them. Back to the Joker Crew. Hobo Clown activated for the Joker Crew, of course, and he was over here. He has he has inspiration from Joker the Criminal, and he used it to put down a stinky fish with the It Doesn't Look Fresh card, which I will find for you here. How about that? This is the one if you want to look it up yourself. So yeah, a stinky fish, and then he used his movement action to move over here, and that's him done. So Joker Crew redeploying to try and stop the Nest scoring for the Birds of Prey. Okay. Roller Derby Thug 1 activated next, and she was all the way back on the other side of the board over here. She backed up. She had Audacity, so she used her manipulate action to go through the sewer and wind up over here to help. I mean, obviously lots of thought going towards the Nest. And in other news, these teeth then did their last turn of movement. They moved onto Poison Ivy and exploded, doing 1 point of blood damage to her and scoring 2 points for the Joker Crew actually. So Joker Crew still scoring those good points even when it's not their activation, even when they're taking, if I say so, a little bit of a mauling. Anyway, right, back on with the game. And for the Joker Crew's part, there were only the mindless monster zombies left to go, and this one moved back towards the nearest enemy model over here, didn't get into contact as you can quite see. This one made it into contact with Poison Ivy and attacked her with his knife, but did absolutely nothing, as to be expected. She has protective spores and he's rubbish anyway, so you know there's now going on there. So that concludes all the activations for this turn, and we're going to go to the recount phase now, where we're going to see just tidy up, and I'll report back in just a moment. Okay, I've concluded the recount phase for turn number 2, and yeah, lots to report. Neither of the two Joker models came round, including this Joker, which is quite a shock, really. Yes, rolled an 11 on the dice for both of them, so yeah, neither of them are coming round or joining us for turn number 3, which is a bit of a, it really does seem to be raining turds on the Joker crew this game. In terms of who scored what, the Nest definitely scored for the Birds of Prey for 3 points. It doesn't look fresh scores because that fish is so far undamaged, still on the board, so there you go. And Psychopath does score for the Joker crew again, because there's a lot of damage in that last turn compared to suspect markers placed by the birds, so yeah, definitely Psychopath did score. Okay, so yes, Joker crew still edging the points, I think, but they are suffering on the board. We need to see if the Birds of Prey can translate that into actual scores, though, at some point in the future. Right, we're going to go into turn 3 now. Oh, just to recount as one more thing as well, none of the models suffering from poison succumbed at all. They both rolled pretty well. All right, going to go into turn 3 now and carry on this bloodbath. Great. Right, back to the game. Turn 3, lots to recount. In the take the lead phase, the Birds of Prey yet again won the initiative with a 5-3 dice roll. They also played Airy 2 from their hand. Right, they play it now, the score at the end. This is the highest piece of scenery, believe it or not. The Joker crew placed the event marker as far annoyingly positioned it as they possibly could. The Birds of Prey have to have models on it and within 4 inches of this marker and to score and have more than the Joker does at the end of the turn. The Joker crew in the second phase played Psychopath once again because it's going pretty well for them so far, which is nice. In terms of audacity, once again the Joker crew doesn't have to declare where they're putting theirs. For the Birds of Prey, we've got an audacity marker on the hockey guy, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, of course, and the larger roller derby 1 person. I've just got to go and extricate some dice from a cat, and I will be right back with you for the activations. Toby, stop it! The roller derby thug number 4 activated quickly. He had audacity. He moved over here and he thwacked this guy with the hockey stick. After all said and done, don't forget this guy was suffering from enervated, so he can only put 1 effort in, but it was enough in the end to do enough damage to knock out this guy whose hardened ability just couldn't save him any longer. That knocked him out, and because there's 1, 2, 3 Joker crew models knocked out, no protection needed, was able to be scored by the Birds of Prey. So there you go, nice simple scores for them, and that's it for this guy. He is done for the time being. Well, Joker the criminal realised that he really needed to kill Poisoned Ivy, which is what he tried to do. Unfortunately for him, he was back here. He used his newly reloaded Thompson, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough. He was literally 1 die roll away. Despite activating good aim and using his lucky trait to re-roll a die, he could still only do 2 hits on Poisoned Ivy. Her protective flowers really helping her out, causing 4 points of blood and 2 points of stun, which leaves her grievously injured, very close to death on 2 remaining points of endurance, but yes, she is still alive, crucially, and yeah, he then moved up over here in order to be able to inspire his remaining henchmen, and that concludes his activation. When she took 6 points of damage in 1 turn, this allowed the Birds of Prey to put Pretty Birds down on the ground, because you see the bold text there, they've taken that, they've fulfilled that criteria, which allows them now to use this easier scoring criteria. Okay, that's it, and we're going to go to the Birds of Prey, see what they do. Well, Harley Quinn had a nice early go this turn, and she had audacity. She started off over here. First of all, she, with audacity, she used her special action, the Harley Quinn show, to use discard this card from the hand. I work best alone. It has the little exclamation mark symbol, which enabled her to move this henchman into base contact with the Joker, because he was within 10 inches of her, so you know that allowed that to happen. And then she continues with her activation. She moved into base contact with this unconscious Joker, played as a resource Jokerometer, so model with this alias Harley Quinn gets an extra strength die turned around. She then put 3 points of effort into beating him unconscious and hit with all 9 attacks basically, causing 9 points of blood damage because he's unconscious, so every hit does a point of blood when you put the boot in, and that's enough to pick this Joker up off the board. Oh, forgot to say, before she did the movement, but whilst there was this still unconscious Joker on the board, no protection needed was successfully played again because there were still 3 enemy models suffering KO. They just picked it up, so she got 2 points on the way in as well. So it's going pretty well for the Harley Quinn gang as it is. Well, Birds of Prey. So there you go, another Joker down, and she is working out some much needed frustrations on her ex by beating them unconscious. Well, Hobo Clown activated next, and not many Joker crew models left able to manipulate actions. There's too many mindless monsters on the board for them. Unfortunately, I might have misplayed this a little bit. He moved up here and put down a suspect marker, which again turned into another set of exploding teeth with Bite the Dust, and it's only got a very short fuse as well, so we'll see how that goes for the Joker crew. Roller Derby Thug number 1 activated next, and yeah, I'm really starting to get the hang of this these really fast, nimble crew, and with some odds and sods going on as well. She started up here and she moved all the way down, and using her reach 3 weapon was able to attack Hobo Clown, and then after that she used her fast action to move 2 extra inches over this way. So there you go. Right, so first of all, she when she attacked, she put in effort, and he did as well, but both sides had some innovating, so that limited everything. But when all was said and done, 4 hits got through. It was a pretty good attack. 4 points of stun, 4 points of blood is enough to kill Hobo. He is not a strong model by any means at all. So that's him done and done, I'm afraid. Yes, having done that, she was able to play Pretty Birds because it's on its easier to score section there, so there you go, and he could not see her at the beginning of the action because of her activation, because she came all the way from over there. So yeah, it's not good for him. He took yeah, so he's dead. That's another score for the birds, and yeah, having done that, she played from the hand the nest, another one. We've seen that already, so we'll see if that scores at the end of the turn. Oh, and let's do these teeth. So let's do that live because I forgot to do it before I started filming. It's a 6, so if I just get my 6 out, here we are, 6 going towards her. Oh, it's basically pop on her head. Yep. So but she'll take a point of stun damage, and it will score 2 points for the Joker crew, which I'll sort out in just a moment for yet another score of Bite the Dust. It's been a good score for the Joker this game. It's kind of desperate times now for the Joker crew because they're reduced to the mindless zombie monsters. So this guy has activated. He took a point of audacity to move up and attack not the closest model because they're going for the ones with poison. Despite putting 2 points of effort in, he just couldn't do any damage. It's just too easy to block him on 2s, I'm afraid. So that's his activation done and done. The Joker crew really struggling to score cards now. They can't put down or pick up suspect markers. Damn those zombies. This Roller Derby Thug activated next, and she was inspired by the presence of Poison Ivy, having been able to hop close to her earlier in the turn. She just consoled herself to move up round to here and pop down a suspect marker, but she is near the Airy 2 objective marker. And actually, now I come to think of it, in her turn, one of the plants will erupt from this suspect marker up here. There we are. It's back. It's only made an appearance. The poison throwing plant there. Okay, and yeah, that's it for the Birds of Prey for now. Back to Joker. This Joker's victim zombie here attacked Poison Ivy and actually managed to get a 6 on the strength roll to knock her down and cause 1 point of blood damage. She's only 1 point away from dying now. He had a point of audacity because they've got them to spare, so I'll just use that to move him back here to contest the nest because it might not be such an easy score this time for the Birds of Prey. We'll see though. Poison Ivy had a relatively tame turn by her standards. She stood up and decided to remain here. She used her control pheromones on the Joker's victim to move him out of his deployment zone to help with the nest. She wasn't in range to try to control anyone else. And then she used her she's got the one of her traits allows her to place suspect markers within the control zones of her plants instead of herself, so she did so by putting a suspect marker up here, and that does her turn. Back to the Joker. Yes, and due to, well, not much happening in one of them's activations, I just combined the last two models' moves for the turn. This Joker's victim just moved down here, wanting to contest the nest and get closer for next turn, perhaps. And then we moved to the last model, which is Ivy's plant, the one that spits acid, and it used one of its 2 rounds of ammunition, spit, to attack the last Joker on the board and killed him with 2 successful hits. Yes, 2 points of blood, 2 points of stun. He was already carrying 6 blood from earlier in the game. He's dead. He's dead, and that is the last of the 3 Jokers. That sucks. Wow, I'm not a bit of a lot of things to say, to be perfectly honest. No cards scored, but so much carnage in this game. Wow. Anyway, that's that. I think every model has now activated apart from Frank, and actually, yes, what with Frank will do, because he's got the new suspicious plant ability, he can put down suspect markers as well, so why not? Let's pop one down for him there, and that's his activation done. Now everyone is activated, and we're going to move on to the recount phase now, and yeah, there's not much left of the Joker crew at the end of this turn 3. Okay, recount phase just completed for round number 3, and right, can relate a few things. First of all, in terms of who got up from being KO'd, the Cookery Thug unfortunately still KO'd for the last bit of the game, but the one who got knocked out at the beginning of the game is up. He's just come around now. What a great time to do so. And that's basically it for recovery. It does give the Joker some glimmer of hope of getting some points in the next round, in the last turn. Sorry. What scored though from this turn? Psychopath easily scored for Joker for 3 more much needed victory points. On the Birds of Prey side, they scored both the nest, because although they have equal number of models in the Joker deployment zone, the homely lady here counts as 2 models because she has the tough guy trait. So there you go. So she scores that for the Birds of Prey, 3 gorgeous points, and Airy 2 also scores. Because yes, they have more models than the Joker within 4 inches of the event token and on the piece of terrain itself. 1 plant and 1 thug next to this event token, so there you go. That scores a dynamic 6 points in the end phase for the Birds of Prey. Right, going to go to the last round of the game. I'll probably foreshorten this one quite heavily because there's just not an awful lot of potential scoring capacity, I think, between the 2 crews, so I might just sum it up in a moment for you, but I'll come back and see you in just a sec. Well, Take the Lead and Raise the Plan phases are both done for this last round, pardon me. Right, just to let you know, the Joker crew in the Black Dice have actually won the initiative for once, hurrah, so they'll be going first, and yeah, the Birds of Prey have put Audacity markers on Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, the thug at the back here, and the Roller Derby 1 thug. Okay, and that's that. We are there and done, and there's no cards played by either crew in this first phase, or second phase for that matter. And yes, I am calling it here, to be perfectly honest, because there was only very limited things that either side could do to score. The Joker went first, popped down a suspect marker here with this guy who took an Audacity and played Let Them In on the joke for 2 points for putting down a suspect marker near an enemy model. So that's the sum total of what the Joker crew could score, because everything else in their crew is mindless monsters, and they weren't going to be killing anyone, and they weren't getting any points for doing so this turn anyway. For the Birds of Prey part, they were limited in terms of what they could score as well, really. The thug round here came up, picked up the Stinky Fish and played Tough Girls for 3 points, because they have many more suspect markers out than the Joker crew do. And finally, this chap here popped down a suspect marker and played Imposition, which friendly model places suspect within 4 inches of enemy, and there are at least 4 friendly suspects in play, and there definitely were. So, and that's all they had. They tried cycling their deck, not to no avail. Nothing really came up, and that's all the scores we're going to have for today. So I'm not going to bother with the recount phase because it's not really worth it, I don't think, and there's no cards waiting to be scored in the wings, so we're going to go straight to the final game count in just a second, and I shall see you in a moment for that and my final thoughts. Well, okay, here I am. Which deck have I picked up first? They're both quite sizable. Both crews, especially the Joker crew's almost out of cards to a certain. Well, almost. It's certainly not as out of cards as it's been before, but it's rattled through them. But I've got quite a hefty score pile for the Birds of Prey objective deck as well, and that's in my hand. So here we go. We're going with 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, 14, 17, 20, 22, 24, 26, 29, 32, 34 and 37 points. That's a mighty score. 37 points. That's good going for the Birds of Prey. Let's see though, the Joker deck is pretty hefty too. So 2, 3, but got to remember the Joker cards tend to score lower. So 5, 7, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21, 23, 25, 28, 30. 30 points plays 37. That's a definite victory there for the Birds of Prey, and I think well deserved considering their performance on the board. Yes, because I don't play them so often, I actually underestimate their abilities, and I'm kind of surprised. But yeah, Harley Quinn is as devastating as ever, and that Harley Quinn show ability is pretty mighty in conjunction with some of these roller derby thugs, who I actually quite like, to be perfectly honest. Yes, overall, I'm not sure that I quite got the hang of these 3 Jokers set up, to be perfectly honest, for the Joker crew. It's a lot of traits to remember when you're playing solo, even if you've been playing Joker for a while like I have. But yeah, 3 of them is quite tricky, and they're quite soft despite having 8 willpower and endurance each. They don't tend to have much in the way of defensive traits between them, and yeah, they can get beaten the snot out of, so that can be quite annoying. So yeah, despite that said, I'm sure they've got lots of potential. I'm just not using them right. Perhaps if I just bulk out on cheap henchmen, then they'll get an awful lot more activations to really flex their deck, and you can just use the Jokers themselves to do the damage and not try and get used Borg on the Cursed against Poison Ivy, who will hypnotise him and make him do nasty things. Maybe I set that one up myself subconsciously, I don't know. But Poison Ivy is amazing as always, and the longer you leave her on the board, the more she'll dominate. These roller derby thugs, again, a bunch more traits in funny combinations for me to get to grips with, so maybe there were some suboptimal plays, let's put it that way, but overall I'm quite happy with how this game went. Harley Quinn certainly got her revenge on her exes, yes, hopefully this will do a whole bunch of therapy for her. Okay, I'm Shieldwall100. I hope you enjoyed this game. If there's anything you want to let me know in the comments, other things that I should have noticed, or things you enjoyed particularly about the game, let me know down there. That would be great. All engagement is good. I'm edging towards 500 subscribers now, which makes me kind of happy. Never thought I'd get past 200, really, to be perfectly honest. 200 was like a dream at one point, so yeah, 500 would be smashing. But never mind, I don't really do this for the views as such. I just want to put something out there for people who might be interested either now or in the future, if they find this in an archive somewhere. But never mind. I'm Shieldwall100, like I said, and I'll see you next time.